A Bronx Tale one-man show is coming to you on demand. Starting January 28th, it opens nationwide on digital and cable video on-demand platforms, including Amazon, Apple TV, YouTube, and many more. Plus, for one night only, come and see it in New York City. I'll be there on January 28th for a special screening with a Q&A to follow. Join me in person at the Quad Cinema at 34 West 13th Street. Tickets will be available at quadcinema.com. Come and see it on film for the first time. Hi, this is Chazz Palminteri. It's Monday at 11 o'clock. Welcome to the show. Every Monday at 11 o'clock, we got a new episode. We got great guests. We got great dialogue. We got great content. Don't forget, if you want to see my one-man show, the show that started it all, Robert De Niro saw it. That's how Bronx Tale happened, the movie. Just go to ChazzPalminteri.net. John, where am I going to be, John?
So in February, you're going to be at the Englewood Bergen Pack. February 15th, you're going to be in West Long Branch, New Jersey at the Monmouth University.
Yes.
February 16th, you're going to be in Huntington, New York at the Paramount Theater. And February 21st, you're going to be in Tarrytown, New York at the Tarrytown Music Hall.
All right. Come and see me. It'll be a night in the theater. You won't forget it was voted best show of the year in Las Vegas. And it was a hit on Broadway, and it became a musical, too. And my cigars and my restaurants, please. 264 White Plains, 30 West 46th Street. Do I say my restaurant is the best Italian restaurant in the country? No. Do I say it's one of the best? Yes. Come to see it. Come and have my great food. And if you use my name, you get a free after-dinner drink and you get free desserts. All you have to do is say, I watch Chazz Palminteri's podcast. All right, my next guest. You know who this is. I tell you, and this is the truth, my hand to God. John, are we lying, John?
Nope.
We put his name on a list of who do you want to see on the show. We said that. Who do you want to see on the show? His name came up first. That is no bullshit, John.
Nope. Everybody voted on him.
Okay. The guy, he's a terrific, wonderful actor. He was on probably, in my opinion, I would say one of the greatest dramatic series on television, one of the great in the history of television. He's an incredible guy. He's got a great story. We're going to talk to him. Steve Schirripa. Steve.
Hey, man.
How are you, baby?
That's a good deal. That's a hell of a good deal going to the restaurant. I'm going to mention your name.
Absolutely.
Free dessert, free after dinner drink.
How could you say no? No, that's true. No.
Hey, pleasure to be here, man.
Good. Thanks, Steve. Thanks.
Pleasure.
So much. We're going to get it. Obviously, everybody knows you from The Sopranos, but you've done you've done some really great stuff, bro.
I did a lot of stuff. I started in the early 90s.
Right.
And how I started was I used to work with a lot of comics in Vegas. I was a maitre d' for many years.
That's right.
I ran the Improv Comedy Club, and I had a topless show called Crazy Girls, and I had a female impersonator show, and I was in charge of all three of them.
Oh, wow.
I moved to Vegas. I'm from Brooklyn, moved to Vegas 1979, 1980.
Right.
1986, I was a bouncer at Paul Anka's club for years.
Right.
Then I was a bouncer at a place called The Brewery, famous Vegas place.
Yeah, I know those places, yeah.
And then I made the jump into the hotel, the Riviera.
Right.
And
how did you get the job as the main guy booking? How did that happen?
Well, that happened later on in like 1995.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So the comedy club was over. The entertainment director left. They gave me the job. So now I'm booking all the comics. I'm booking the club. I'm booking the big room.
Wow.
I'm booking the lounge. We got Monday Night Jazz. I got jazz. I'm booking Chick Corea, Maynard Ferguson.
Wow.
I'm booking Louis Belson.
Yeah.
On and on and on. Right. So some of the comics say, hey, you know what? I'd like to throw you in my thing. I'm doing this little sketch in L.A. Would you come? A guy named Bruce Baum. I don't know if you know him. Comic for 40 years.
Right.
So I go to L.A., he gives me a script. It's funny. I do it with another comic, Johnny Dark. You know Johnny Dark?
Yeah.
All right, he's been around forever. And I kind of, I fly in, it's funny, and da-da, and I kind of get the bug. I fly home, I'm going, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Casting person saw me, put me in another one. With
Right.
Lenny Clark. He's a comic out of Boston, funny guy.
Yeah.
So I started dabbling a little in the acting like that. I'm booking acts. I'm dabbling in the acting and, blah, blah, blah. And then I had come to New York
Right.
for a wedding, and I auditioned for The Sopranos, and I got it. So that's how that happened.
You just auditioned for the show.
I just auditioned for the show. I had been working. I did Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Right.
I had a scene with Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
I did a movie called, it's a movie about Kiss. I forget.
You went to a casino too, right?
That's where I got my, I tell you what. So I auditioned for Casino for one role. I didn't get it. They gave me this other role. Ellen Lewis, puts me in there, featured extra.
Yeah, right.
I'm doing the scene where Joey DePinto's
Yeah.
stabbing the guy, Pesci stabbing the guy
With the knife, yeah.
De Niro's in the
pen.
scene. With the pen.
Right.
And then, Joe tells me, and Frank Vincent tells me, say something, just yell, So I was a little green, but I said, Joey, look out, blah, blah, blah. I got my SAG card from that. If you put it on slow motion and turn it up loud, you could see and hear me. Otherwise, forget it. Don't even bother.
That's amazing. You got your set.
Yes, I got my SAG card from that. In the meantime, I'm booking, all the acts. I'm working with all the comics. I mean, early on, Ellen, Bill Maher.
Now, do you know, when you saw them back then, Steve, did you know which ones you thought were going to be great and which ones you think? Or you just didn't know?
I didn't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess nobody knows.
I didn't. I honestly didn't know. I didn't say this guy. This is a winner. You could see by then, like Belzer was already established.
Belzer, yeah.
And Bill Maher.
Right.
Ellen, no. Ellen was working in the club. She was just an act. Rosie O'Donnell was just an act. They didn't explode yet. They were working in a 300-seat club.
Right.
David Spade, Rob Schneider, Drew Carey, all these guys coming through. So now, 1995, I get the job to book the whole place. So I start comics. At the time, they were popular, but not as headliners in Vegas.
Right.
They didn't realize that it's way less expensive than having a 30-piece orchestra. You know what I mean?
Way less expensive.
So you got a guy with a stool, like George Carlin, comes out with a drink, an opening act, a stool, and, they loved it.
Right.
So I started we had 1,000-seat room. Sinatra played 1990, New Year's of 98 or 99.
Right.
No, 88 or 89. Sinatra plays up there New Year's Eve. Beautiful room. It's long. It's not a showroom, but
Yeah.
and we start doing shows up there. I have an idea, and so we give Dennis Leary his first shot in the big room. We give Gilbert Gottfried his first shot.
Wow.
David Spade, Ray Romano, Kevin James, George Lopez, and I could go on and on and on.
Sure, yeah.
Damon Wayans.
Yeah.
Damon Wayans sold out the show in a matter of minutes,
Wow.
And I would just say, I know a big hotel's going to come and get you, a better hotel, because the Riv was like
Right,
that, I said, they're going to come and get you, but give me another shot. So just about David Spade's the only little prick who I love, but he's a little prick, who didn't come back a second time. Everybody else, Theo Ugly, all the guys gave me one more shot. Paulie Shore at the time was, a big act. He sold out. And so I did a lot of the comics, did a lot of jazz. It was a fun job, but not without headaches. I did the Beach Boys.
So when you got the part in The Sopranos, you had a good job.
So I had a good job. I had a big house, acre of land, 2 kids. I'm 40 years old.
Where are you living?
I'm living in Vegas. I live on South, South, the South Point. I live out
I know where South Point is, yes.
I live east. I bought an acre of land 1987 for $25,000. Built a house on it. Yeah.
You still have it?
No, I sold it. I
sold it,
sold
okay.
it. 25 grand. My wife was born in Vegas. I meet her there. My kids were born there. I got a good job. I go for the audition. I just happened, my buddy was a writer for Saturday Night Live. I just said there was a guy hip pocketed me, an agent. I said, hey, see if you could get me to get a couple lines in this show. I hadn't seen the first season, and they just happened to be casting the
second season.
Second season. I happened to be casting the second season. I never really watched the show. You know,
Right.
I just didn't get around to it. So he sent me sides to read the role of FBI agent. I went up there. They faxed me at the time, right? They faxed me. I went up to Uptown. I was on Broadway, and Georgianne Walken was casting. She was the only person there. No waiting room, just her, Christopher's wife, right? And I go in, and I read, and she says, I don't see you as an FBI agent. Read this. We got a guy in mind already. So gives me the role of Baccarat. I take a couple minutes, and I read. And she goes, hey, that wasn't bad. So tell me about your resume. And it was all legit, the resume. 2 lines, King of Queens I had on there.
Right.
I had this Kiss movie. I had a nice role with Kevin Corrigan.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, and I was working with a guy, Ray Favero, who I'm forever indebted to in Vegas. He would come up to my office. I'd close the door, and he would go one-on-one with me working on the stuff.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be working, you know what I mean?
Right.
He come and sit across the desk. I'm here, he's there. So he was a big help to me. And so she said, this is a local hire. You know, I said, all right, well, let's hope we have that problem. You know, she said, we're not going to pay your way. We're not putting you up. It's scale. I said, okay, well, let's hope we have that problem. She said, if I get you in front of David, would you come back? And I'm going, who the fuck is David? I didn't even know who that was.
Right.
So I go back, and they call me a week later, and they say, we want you to, call back, want you to read for David Chase. I'm not going to go back. I says, I'm going to get a couple lines here. I'm going to spend all that money on airfare. I got to put myself in a hotel. And it was my wife. She said, you work so hard, go back. You're only happy when you're doing this. Go. I got on the plane. If she would have said, you're right, don't go.
Right, you went away.
You know, not that I'm no Mama Luke. I don't listen to everything my wife says. But
still,
Right? So I go back. There's 100 people in the waiting room at Silver Cup. You know, some for Baccarat, some for all the other roles.
Right.
I go in. There's about 15 people. I read. The next morning, I was shooting a little something in L.A. I fly on the red eye, and she calls me herself. She said, I know I'm supposed to call your agent, but I know how hard you worked on this. You got the role. The agent tells me not to take it. They won't fly you out. They won't put you up. Don't take it.
Your agent says that.
The agent. That guy that's helping me, he's a friend of mine, Tim Stone, English guy. And I said, well, I'm going to do it, man. I want to do this. I want to give this a shot.
Yeah.
So the first year I did 6 episodes.
No, but I have to ask you, so you leave the job in Vegas?
No. I got 6 weeks vacation. So I'm kind of fudging it. I don't tell the Sopranos I got a job, and I don't tell the job I'm doing the Sopranos.
Wow.
I'm kind of faking it, right? So the first year I do 6 episodes. It cost me $24,000 to make $22,000. I did 6 episodes. That's what I got paid for the 6. 22. And it cost me 24. I had to fly myself out, put myself up.
Right.
All right. Now, I got to leave. I tell my secretary, I come in early in the morning. I tell my secretary, I'm going to be gone for 2-3 days. Anyone looking for me, you tell them I just left. I swear to God, Chazz. She's covering for me. That's how good a job I was doing. They didn't notice me gone for days at a time.
So she was booking.
No, she would call me on the phone.
Yeah, I got you.
You know, we had cell phones then, and I was handling it.
Yeah.
The boss was good to me. This guy was good because any other hotel would have said, hey,
Yeah, that's it.
what are you doing here? So it was fine. I did the episodes. I come in, I read all these fat jokes. I'm going, calzone with legs. You should start considering eating salads. I'm going, I'm not, Jim, I'm not that much fatter than Jim was. So I get the script. I tell my wife, did they hire the wrong guy? I don't understand these jokes. Then I get a call, you got to come in early for a fat suit. So the first 2 years, I wore a fat suit on the show.
Wow.
The third year, I got fat enough on my own, and I didn't have to wear it. So they make me a series regular. I do a pilot. I audition for a pilot with Nick Totoro, WB.
Right.
They offer me a lot more money, and I'm going to take it. And my agent was smart enough to call them. They made me a series regular, said, we got to move to New York. On the way out, I give my notice. On the way out the door, I tell the guy, I could still book this remotely. For 10 years, they paid me a consultant fee, and I still booked everything.
Wow.
And I booked it,
Well, you were well-liked, obviously.
Yeah, and I booked it. I did a good job. I booking the acts, I did it like it was my money. If a show failed, I felt bad. It wasn't like,
right. No, that's right.
I did the job.
You did the right job.
I did the job,
So you obviously, you didn't take the other job, and so Sopranos said, no, we want him. Is that how that happened?
Yeah. Then he, I wasn't making much money.
So then he paid more.
Yeah, but not a whole lot more. I actually took a cut in pay for my job in Vegas for my first year on The Sopranos.
Yeah.
But I
love it. You love it.
I love it. I took a chance on myself.
Right.
I took a gamble on me. First thing I did when I finally started making money, paid off the house in Vegas.
Right.
Told my wife they kill me off, or we're done here. We go back.
Right.
If I don't have the job, at least the house is paid for, and we go to Plan B. That was my thinking.
That's good thinking.
That was my thinking. Because they were the more they gave you to do on the show, the better chance you were going to get killed.
Now, how many years did you do on Sopranos?
I did it The Sopranos, season 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6 years.
How many years was the show on?
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah. Then, shortly after, they sent me a couple of scripts, a show with Molly Ringwald and Shailene Woodley, who's a big star now. High school show. It's called Secret Life of the American Teenager.
Yeah.
It's about 6 months after The Sopranos end. And they don't want to fly me. They don't want to fly me. I still got the house in Vegas. I read it. There's 3 episodes. My daughter's 13. I tell her, read these, see, what you think. She said, that's pretty good. So I flew myself out to L.A., put myself up, and I did it. I did 2. Then they wanted to make me a series regular. I wound up doing 110 episodes.
Wow.
Great job. Brenda Hampton, showrunner.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. I never had to move to L.A. I commuted 3-4 times a month. They flew me, put me up. So I had that. I was very lucky. And I did a bunch of shit in between. I was
No, you're right. Just funny. Last week you were on Blue Bloods.
Yeah.
You were terrific.
That was fantastic.
And because my daughter was on the same show.
The funny thing is, when you text me, I was in California. I hadn't seen it yet.
Yes, right.
So when you told me that, so then I sat down and watched it.
Yes.
And she did a great job.
Yeah.
That's a great piece for her.
Yeah. Well, she's thank you. She's terrific. She graduated in Michigan after 4 years of, that's the toughest theater workship in the country.
Yeah. Your wife is telling me.
And no, she
did a good job. Yeah. And listen, no one understands why Blue Bloods is canceled.
I don't.
No one understands.
I don't know.
You did a few episodes.
Yeah, I love the show. And people more than love the show.
They love the show. They love the family dinner. They remember when their family sat down on Sunday.
I don't understand why they can't.
The ratings are great. It's a 10 o'clock
great show,
shot on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Tough time slot. That's the magic question. No one knows.
Yeah.
Do you know that you worked with Selleck
Yeah.
right? You did what, a couple episodes?
I think I did 3
You
maybe.
did 3. I was on the show 9 years,
Yeah.
close to 150 episodes. I had two scenes with Tom Selleck.
Wow.
You did more scenes than I did.
I did all my scenes with Tom Selleck. That's weird. Yeah.
Well, they were also very particular
Yes.
about who they put with Tom Selleck.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, 1,000%.
Yeah.
They made sure they were good actors.
Right.
You know, you, Michael, you know, whoever they had.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. And he's a great guy.
Oh, terrific guy.
Terrific guy.
And he was always, from the day I met him, complimentary to me whenever I saw him.
Always a gentleman.
Really a good guy. I loved, I was at the family dinner once.
Yeah.
I was very honored. That's an honor to get there.
Wow.
To the family dinner. That's a big honor.
That's a big
And they
honor.
put me there, and I was happy, you know.
That's a big honor. Holy shit. Wow. Now, I've asked a few of the Sopranos this. What did you like? Obviously, I don't know if you knew it when you did it, when you saw it. What did you feel about the ending of The Sopranos?
So we watched it in Florida, right?
All a bunch of you?
Florida, at the Hard Rock. You know, we went on a little tour, a little farewell tour. They paid us, you know.
Right,
We
sure.
went to Foxwoods. We were in Atlantic City. Then we went to Foxwoods.
Right.
Then we went down to Florida. There was 9 of us from the cast.
From the kids.
In a room. We watched it alone. We had drinks and food, and we watched it together.
Nobody knew how it was going to end.
Yeah,
Oh, you didn't know?
we did know, but we read the script, but I didn't know because it just said fade to black. I read the script, but I didn't get that. I didn't get
Okay.
home at all. No one did.
Okay. Right.
So we watch it. When it ended, somebody said, "What?" I think Jim might have said, "What the fuck happened?" All of us like, "What happened?" You know, blah blah blah. I wasn't sure if I liked it. Michael loved it immediately. I remember that. Jim was questionable. The mistake I made, the next day, I wake up and I'm watching the news, and you got all these 2 or 3 people bullshitting, saying that we shot different endings. And I'm going, did they shoot different endings? Because I kind of questioned myself. And I went, no, they didn't. So these people were lying. They had
Whose people?
well, they had like the girl for a couple of the dancers from the Bada Bing. They said they shot different endings. Another guy had gone on Howard Stern saying, I was there. No different endings. That's a lie.
Right.
No different endings. This was the ending. As time went on, I watched it. I think it's a wonderful episode because there's a lot more to it than just that.
Right.
The whole snake with fur with Sirico.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I thought for years Tony Soprano was alive and well and living in New Jersey.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Maybe it was wishful thinking.
Right.
After doing our podcast and going through it and talking to David, who will never admit it, ever. He'll take that to his grave if he even knows. I believe Tony Soprano died. I believe he died. I don't think there was any way else to end it. How else were you going to end the show? I think it was a great ending. People are still talking about it
Today.
17 years later. But I thought for years he was alive, and I think he got killed there.
He got killed there. Yeah, that's what I assumed.
I think so. But there was no, people were going, well, he left it open in case there's a movie. That's a lie. There was none of that. David knew this ending for years.
This was it.
This was it. Do I think there could have been a movie? Jim needed to get away from Tony Soprano. And David told us this, so I'm not talking out of line. They didn't talk for 2 or 3 years,
After The Sopranos.
Jim and David. They didn't speak.
Were they not friends no more?
I think Jim had a little problem with things. And then David was doing a movie called Not Fade Away about New Jersey, and he called Jim, asked him to be in the movie. Jim did it. You know? He had to get away from Tony Soprano. Now, we were still young enough then, maybe there could have been a prequel then.
True.
At that point, there could have been a prequel then.
Right.
Right? Because and Jim was starting to say, you know, before he passed away, you know, they pay me enough. I think maybe I'll do it. You know, time had.
Time,
From
yeah.
2007, Now it's 2012.
True.
You know, Jim said, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it never came about. He passed away, you know.
Passed away.
You know, him and David had made up. It was, I think Jim passed away in June. I think in April, he had a new baby. He had a party at his apartment. We went. David was there.
Right.
Sirico was there. You know, there was a bunch, you know, handful of us there. And Jim was very happy. He was working. He was doing the night of that
True.
great series that John Turturro did, who was great in it. But that was Jim's project. He shot the pilot,
That's right.
and then John took it over.
Right.
You know, he was happy. Jim was happy. I never saw him so happy when he had the new baby.
Wow. Now, where were you when you found out he passed?
I was at Yankee Stadium.
You were in a Yankee game?
I was at the Yankee game. Before the Yankee game, I was sitting with Mitch Modell, Tommy Lasorda, and we have the same attorney,
Right.
business manager. He called me. He said, Jim passed away. And my knees kind of went out from under me. I went, no. I said, it's got to be one of these hoaxes.
Hoax, yeah.
He said, I just talked to his sister. Jim passed away in Italy. So I told her, I don't want to go back to the table. I was upset. I called Mitch. I was in the Legends, you know, in the dining room, and I just said, Mitch, I need to talk to you. And he had a driver. I told him, and I said, I need to go home. So as the guy's driving me home down the West Side Highway, I was living in Battery Park at the time. CBS, I'm looking at my phone, CBS, ABC, they're all starting to call, you know, to get quotes. I'm not picking up the phone. Then I see, I call Michael.
So you know it's real.
It's real. I call Michael Imperioli. I call a couple of the guys.
Did they know?
They did not know. I called them. And then one of the producers called me, knowing that I would know. And, yeah, it was terrible. The funeral was terrible.
Really?
It was just, I mean, it was a beautiful funeral, but it was so sad. You know, so sad. And, you don't think about somebody, oh, how am I going to feel when that guy dies?
He's young, yeah.
You know, I didn't even think about that. And he was like invincible, this guy.
Yeah.
You know, he was a strong, invincible
tough guy,
guy,
yeah.
you know. I mean, it was, it was very sad, very sad.
Wow.
You know,
All right.
but, you know, I just loved working with him.
Yeah.
A lot of laughs. We traveled a lot together, you know.
I heard that Tony Sirico, who I loved. I love Tony. Tony was a great guy. And he said to David Chase, he says, you can do whatever you want. You want to kill me, kill me. Just don't make me a rat.
Absolutely.
Is that true?
Don't make me a rat.
So
Don't make me a rat.
Just don't make me a rat.
That's what he would say, Tony. Talk about breaking the mold with Tony Sirico.
Right.
They broke the mold with him. But he did a wonderful job.
Tremendous.
You know, what we found out with this live show, after Tony Soprano, Paulie Walnuts was the favorite character.
Really?
Loved, beloved, had some of the funniest lines.
Funniest lines.
And, you know, a lot of it is taken from his life. He's a germaphobe. He's a hypochondriac. You know, this is all Tony.
He
won't let anyone...
Can't go near his hair.
Can't touch his hair. They were not allowed to touch his hair. They had to really, you know, in the Pine Barrens, when the hair was like that, they had to really talk him into that.
I heard
Can't
that.
touch the hair. He had a whole process. He had gray hair. He would go to the barber on Fifth Avenue in Bay Ridge. They would dye it black and then put those silver wings.
Right.
Yeah, they put the silver wings.
Nobody could touch his hair.
I mean, a character. He had no cell phone. Yeah. He lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in Bay Ridge. That was it.
One of my favorite lines was you and it was 2 heavy guys. You were probably wearing a fat suit. And they said, look at this. Before and way before. Did he write? I mean, I don't know who wrote that line. That line was terrible.
You know, Terry Winter, maybe. Terry Winter, you know.
Before and way before.
You know, Terry Winter, who wrote a lot of the funny stuff. Not just him, but...
Yeah.
I don't know if he wrote it, but I'm assuming. But Terry was a stand-up comic before he was.
Oh, he was funny.
Yeah,
funny.
There's some stuff on The Sopranos. You fall down, laugh out loud, funny.
Fall down.
You know.
Yeah, I mean that thing with in the woods. That's a great episode.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, there's no bad ones.
There's no, you know what? That's true. There's really no big. And when
Like Seinfeld. I'm a huge Seinfeld fan.
me too.
I watch it over and over. There's no bad
There's
Seinfeld
really no bad
episodes.
ones. No. You know what? But that was one of the great shows on television, and your show is one
Yeah,
of the great. That's why.
It's good.
Steve-
And, you know, and like I said, in Blue Bloods,
Yeah.
a different kind of...
A different kind of
They
great show.
love the family dynamic. So
Right.
they're out doing what they do.
Right. That
fighting
show will be
crime.
running for years.
And then, you know,
Right.
they sit down like a regular family,
You're
put
right.
everything aside,
right.
and they get along well.
Did you know how big the show was when you were doing it?
No.
When did it finally hit you?
Well, listen, when I started shooting the show July of 99.
Right.
And that was, I happened to be there the day the Emmys came out. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was the first time a cable show was nominated for an Emmy.
Might have been.
I'm pretty sure.
Might
And
have
it was
been.
nominated for 16.
That's right. I remember that. Yes.
So it exploded there.
Yeah.
So, but then while you were shooting season 2, you know, people really didn't know,
Yeah.
you know. And then as time went on,
I mean, it became religious. Like
it
Sunday, people would make dinner,
Oh, yeah.
pasta, and watch the
big,
show.
big parties.
Big
you know.
parties.
But you know what the thing was? This is how I felt. I was always concerned, seriously, about getting knocked off. Honestly.
All
So
the-
there was no job security. It wasn't like
I spoke to you guys, all of you.
it wasn't like Friends. They weren't going to
Yeah,
knock
right,
Ross
right.
off,
Right,
right? He
right,
wasn't
right,
going to get
right.
killed, right?
Right, right.
I mean, so there was no like job security. And then every year we had those huge breaks, and it was like, man,
Am I
I got
coming
2
back?
kids here. I mean, you know,
Right.
Exactly. We coming back? Am I coming back? It was always like that. You know, the show became this incredible cult following, which, believe it or not, there's more people watching
Today.
it now.
I watched it
because of streaming.
I
It's all
watched
over
it
the
again.
world.
Yeah, I watched it the second time.
And it's very good. And you see things you didn't see the first time.
Yes,
and it's funny,
it
laugh
holds
out
up.
loud.
It
funny.
holds up.
Holds up.
It holds up.
Besides the phones and the computers, stuff like that, it holds up like it was written yesterday.
No question. No question it holds up.
You know.
And I watch it and I go, shit, man, yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
this
stuff.
This is really good.
Really, really, really something to be a part. Listen, Chazz, it was. Let's not kid ourselves. There's a lot of luck involved here, right? I mean,
Oh, of course.
I come in for a wedding. If that guy ain't getting married,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Sure.
If that guy doesn't get married, I'm not in New York because I didn't come back to New York much. You know,
Yeah,
I was
you're
out
not
there.
here to audition for that thing.
Yeah, right. So I don't audition for that.
Right.
Who knows what happens, right?
Yeah.
You know, and if you're gonna get it, you know how hard it is to get on any show.
Any show.
To get on that show,
Forget it.
It's like hitting the lottery twice.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and then to get lucky, another series,
Right.
and then another series.
Right.
I mean, you know, listen, I work hard.
Yeah.
I come in, I know my stuff. I don't cause any problems. All of that stuff, I work very hard. But there's a lot of, timing.
Well,
is a
yes,
lot.
it's all timing, but you're still gonna have the goods. And you still pushed your life. You spent $24,000 to lose $2,000. I mean,
Exactly.
You know, it's a combination of everything. It's luck, it's perseverance, it's grit.
No, by all means. I mean, it's not all luck, of
No,
course. No.
But there's a funny story that I heard. You must confirm it for me. That you did that scene with a ski suit and you walk in with was that a ski jacket he had on?
Yeah, the ski jacket.
the overfoot outfit.
And
yeah.
you put a
Yeah. So
because you wanted to get Jimmy to laugh.
yeah, so we shot up in Harriman. You know, we shot up here.
Yeah.
at Pine. We didn't shoot in the Pine Barrens. I'm going to tell you why. There was a politician. He's a scumbag. His name's James Triffinger. Listen, he said he wouldn't give us the okay to shoot in the Pine Barrens, right? Couldn't get the permits because the Sopranos made New Jersey look bad, made Italians look bad,
fuck.
and all that bullshit. The guy got indicted. He went to jail for conspiracy, for fraud. You can look it up.
And he's over there putting us down.
James Triffinger. All right. We were shooting up here. You know, Jim had told me in the outfit, we already shot all that stuff in the snow. Now he says to me, you better make me laugh tomorrow morning because now I got to walk in, and he's got to fall over laughing with the drink. Buscemi's directing. Dominic Chianese's in the scene. I don't say anything to anybody. It's fucking 7 in the morning. Nothing's funny to me at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
I told the prop guy, I said, you got anything that might, make me... He shows me a wall of dildos. I kid you not. I kid you not. Every size, shape, he's got fucking dildos. I get the biggest one. It's like an Italian bread, like a 3-footer. And I start twirling it around like this.
Yeah.
I turn the corner. The camera's on Jim and Dominic. I don't say nothing. I have the Elmer Fudd suit. Nobody knows. I pull the dildo out. I got it. Boom, boom, boom. The shot you see where Jim falls over pouring the Johnny Walker, that's the scene. And you could almost see Dominic crack
Really?
a smile. You could almost see him.
Yeah.
So that's how I got him to laugh.
Yeah, because you're right. I mean, he's seen it 100 times.
Yeah, it wasn't funny. The first time it's funny.
First time it's funny. After a while, all right. Now I got to laugh at this. Yeah, no, you're right. Now, you grew up in Brooklyn.
Yeah, Bensonhurst.
So obviously you knew this Bobby Baccalieri, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How do you pronounce Bobby?
Bobby Baccalieri.
Bobby Baccalieri. So you knew these types of guys. So
I grew up around them. I mean, at the time, well, I grew up in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, like me, yeah.
Bensonhurst was, Mob Central, man.
Mob Central,
I mean, you didn't even know. Like, the guy's your baseball coach.
Yeah.
Then you read in the paper he killed 16 people. You had no idea, right?
Right. Now,
I didn't know Joey's uncle was a mob guy.
Now, there were 4 of you, right? 4 brothers, sisters?
No, I had 1 brother, 3 sisters. My mother, father in a shitty apartment, a 2-family house. I grew up on welfare.
Yeah.
My father was not a good guy. Went to college. My mother, pushed us through. Graduated Brooklyn College, and then I took off for Vegas.
Anybody else in show business in your family?
No, nothing.
You're the only one.
Nothing like that. And at one time, when I was working in the room, when I was actually, the maitre d' in the room and seeing people, which I made a shitload of money in Vegas. I caught the tail end of the tipping years. Yeah. Now it's numbered seats,
Exactly.
I was like, if a comic like the MC, he didn't make it back in time, I was too afraid to even go up there to talk on the microphone. Wow. I had a fear of that speaking, and I don't know.
Well, it's the number one fear of all human beings.
Yeah.
Speaking in front of public.
So I wouldn't even say, hey, all I had to say was, hey, good night, and I don't know, something happened, I guess, something in me, and,
Do you get recognized a lot?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah. Well, a lot of young kids.
A lot of kids that were not around when you were there.
Kids with the Sopranos, kids in their late teens, early 20s are watching that now.
That fascinates me.
And then you got older people watching Blue Bloods.
That's true.
Both of them. Once in a while, I'll get a, Secret Life. Because that was a kid show.
That was a kid show, yeah.
So I'll get that now and then. Hey, I used to watch you, years ago, But it's mostly, Bobby and Anthony, It's okay. It don't bother me when people...
Now, I spoke to a lot. Who did I speak to? I spoke to, Stevie Van Zandt is going to be on. He's scheduled to come back on. But I spoke to a lot of you guys, and all you guys, it was always like when you read the script, like, you got right to the end. Did I die?
Absolutely.
And but I tell you, the genius of David Chase was the second season when Big Pussy got killed. Everybody was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
And I think that set a tone with the whole cast. Like, if Pussy can go, anybody can go.
Well, it was probably, if you think back, a major character on a TV show got killed. You don't see that very often.
Never.
You don't see that very often, right? So after that, and listen, and we talk about it. We have a live show. I've talked to Vinny about it. I mean, that if it happened to me, I would have been heartbroken.
Yes.
Not only because I'm out of work, but also because we all became good friends.
Yes.
And Vinny left early.
Right.
On the other end of the coin, he had a lot of opportunities as the first soprano out. You know what I mean? But it hurt him. It hurt him very much. I mean, it wasn't for any reason. somebody had to go, and he was the one that had to go. That's the way the story went. You know, when I found out I got killed off the next to last episode.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm home, and I still have the same cell phone.
So you knew any day you were going to get killed.
I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know?
I had no idea.
Oh, okay.
I get a call. Hello, yeah, hold for David, like that. David, don't call me. I'm going, yeah. So he said, where are you? I said, well, I'm in the apartment. He says, all right, I'm coming over. I said, you coming here? He goes, yeah, I'm coming over. Comes up, the doorman rings him up. I open the door. He goes, I guess you know why I'm here. Like a real hit, like a real fucking hit. He goes, I guess you know why I'm here. I guess so. Come on in.
Yeah.
Comes in, he sits down, he's tapping a pencil. He's a little awkward,
Yeah.
And I say, so he said, unfortunately, the story, you got to go. I said, well, how's it going to happen? And he was vague. It's a train store. He wouldn't really tell me. A train store and a thing. I said, okay. And we spoke for about 10 minutes, small talk. And then I said, I hope you were happy with my work. He said, oh, yes. I said, well, thank you for changing my life. And that was it. That's how I found out. And most people found out in a phone call. Some we had a read-through. He would say, can I talk to you for a second?
Before the read-through?
Before the read-through.
Okay.
Can I talk to you for a second, take you in the back. A couple people he forgot at times. There was a couple of those. Mostly phone calls. He told us Al Sapienza, you know Al?
No.
Al was there the first season, who we loved. He begged not to get killed. He begged. David told us on the podcast, so I'm not talking out of line.
Yeah.
Al Sapienza, he was Junior's guy before me. Great guy, funny guy,
right.
Good actor. He begged him, please, no, please.
Anybody killed him?
And he killed him. David Proval.
Begged him.
He didn't want to go. Joey Pants. Our friend
He didn't
Joey
want to go,
Pants.
Joey?
Joey wanted to go, I think, until he was there, and then he didn't want to go no more.
Oh, okay.
He was there for a year. Some guys knew they were only going to be around for a while.
Right.
Because don't forget, every year there's a villain, right?
Yeah.
The second season, first season.
Well, Frank Vincent hung around a while.
He was a villain at one point, right? But you got Proval, Richie April's a villain season 2.
True.
Joey Pants season 3. And you got Frank Vincent, Buscemi. They all had villains,
Right.
I
think me and John Turturro are the only two Italians that have never been on the show. I always said that. I always tell people that. And it was funny because I was one of the few in the 1997 who read the script. And I always tell people, I know there were people, I knew Ray Liotta. I know there was a bunch of people before me that got offered the role. That I do know for a fact. So I'm not saying I was but then they did come to me. It was 1997, but I had throat cancer at the time. And I just got out of the hospital, and there was no way I could have did it.
But that was when it was at Fox for a little while.
It was going to be on HBO.
Oh, was it HBO?
Yes,
okay.
yes. And HBO was nothing then.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But I remember reading it, and I remember the scene with the ducks, and I remember saying, this is really well written, man. This is really great. I said, but obviously I can't do a show, and I just said I couldn't do it. Timing was bad, And I always felt, and I never got a chance to ask David that, I always felt he got upset by that or something, and that's why I was never on the show, because I would have loved to have been on the show, but I think he said, well, you turned it down, so I don't know why, but...
I don't know. There might have been some of those. There might have been.
But you know what? The best guy did it.
Jim, yeah. Jim was
the most perfect, best guy did it.
Absolutely.
And I always say that. And it was the best. He was great. He was less known than I was, and he was just terrific. And he was great.
Jim was made for that role, obviously.
Yes.
It was tailor-made for him.
Yes.
I think David, and I don't know for sure, but for the most part, he didn't use people that were that well known.
Yeah, probably.
Think about it. He didn't use Danny Aiello. He didn't use a lot of
That's true.
guys. He didn't use Paul Savino.
He didn't use John Turturro. Yeah, that's true.
He didn't use a lot
me.
of a lot of the guys.
And
right?
I understand that.
You know,
And I understand that.
You know, he didn't use. You know, he used Buscemi, which is off kilter. He's not a guy that plays.
True. True.
You know,
you're very correct.
So I think I do know. I think at one point Bruce Willis had asked Jim to try to get him on the show,
and he said no.
I know Michael Madsen.
Yeah.
He was calling Jim, asking, "Could you get me on? You know, what could you do?
Yeah,
what could you
yeah.
do?" David wasn't interested in. I think
People that have been on. Yeah.
He also.
Oh, that makes me feel better.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
but I mean that's the truth. I'm not saying it to make it feel.
No.
Yeah.
I actually, it makes sense now. Yeah, because I there.
You got nominated for Academy
Award.
Award.
I had all these movies.
You were a different thing.
Yeah, you know what? I understand that.
He
now.
didn't want any distractions.
Right.
If you think about it, when the show started, the only person that anyone knew was Lorraine Bracco.
That's true.
Nobody else. Jim had worked. Edie had worked some.
Yeah.
Michael had worked some. Don't get me wrong. They've been around.
But they weren't like, yes.
Nobody. No names.
No names.
Even Dominic Chianese was 58 years old, dead busted, sleeping in a recliner above a restaurant. He tells us on our podcast, Talking Sopranos.
Dominic.
Dominic.
Really?
When he got on The Sopranos, empty. Tony Sirico was sleeping on his mother's cot in Brooklyn. Dead broke. Both took their pensions, broke. For real.
I didn't know that.
And Dominic, though you knew him from Godfather 2, of course, and he had been around. And, but struggled. You know, he struggled, you know. And, you know, he talks about it. He told us the whole story, you know. I knew it, but he had told us
I didn't know
on the podcast. And Tony, he was 55 years old. I mean, he had bounced around, you know, but, you know, nothing steady. You know, Chazz, you know, if you're a movie star, making movies, making big movies, studio movies, you can make a living.
Yes.
For the regular Joe Blow actor, if you're not on a series, it's very difficult to make a living.
Yes.
You could do 6. Hey, are you working? Hey, I just did a Law and Order, a Blue Bloods, or this or that.
You're absolutely right.
I made Top of Show.
Top of Show, yeah.
Top of Show, $8,400, $10,000.
Yeah.
With my first Blue Bloods, I came in for 1, maybe 2. I got Top of Show.
Right, yes.
You know, and then, you know, things got way better after that, but it's hard to make a living.
You know what? Sometimes I forget that, and sometimes I say, thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you, God. Because you're right. Unless you get on a big show or you're making big movies, to have a really good living, it's difficult.
It's very hard, you know.
I agree.
mean, you've got to be on a series.
Yes.
You know, and that's hard, you know. Now, you did,
You're right.
so when you did Bullets Over Broadway, now I worked with Woody Allen.
Yeah.
I always was a big fan.
Yeah.
Always. And I finally was in Wonder Wheel.
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
Jeez.
you and everybody else didn't see it.
Yeah.
But I was just happy to be there.
Yeah.
But I auditioned for him. It was funny. I don't know did you audition for
Of course.
Okay. When I went into audition for the show he did on Amazon.
Yes.
And you know, she gives me the thing 5 minutes before.
Right.
Says, look, he's going to listen for 60 seconds. He's going to listen to you. Don't be insulted. He'll know in 60 seconds if he wants you.
That's correct.
So I read the thing. It's a part of a highway patrol guy.
Right.
Okay. So I go in. He's in the shadows.
All the shadows in the back.
It's very dark. He's wearing the Woody Allen outfit.
Yeah,
He's got the
yeah.
patches.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's in the shadows. And I say to myself, if I got 60 seconds, I better do something. So I start talking about the Knicks.
Right.
Because he's a Knicks fan. You're a Knicks fan.
Yeah.
I'm a big Knicks fan. So I start talking about the Knicks, blah, blah, blah. I figured let him get to see a little personality. And then I read, and I didn't get it.
Right.
And then months later, he gave me this. You know, I didn't have to audition for Wonder Wheel, you know.
Yeah, same way. I walked in. He was all the way in the back. I read, and the only word he said was thank you.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And I left, and I was like, well, that didn't go too
Yeah.
well. I thought, well, I guess not. And then they called me the next day. They said, come back again. I went, they want me to come back? I said, all right. I went back, read again, and he said, thank you. Same thing. Thank you. That was it. I got in my car, and they called me. They said, Woody says, you got the part.
That was great.
But just nothing. Thank you. Just quick.
Very quick. I enjoyed working with him. I worked, I think, 8 days. 10
I
days.
loved work. It was great.
And, after a little while, a couple of days he was shy. He loved Tony Sirico.
Yeah.
He knew Tony from Midwood
Yes.
growing up.
Yes.
He knew Tony, and he loved Tony.
He is shy, yes.
He was shy. But then I started talking to him about Vegas and stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
He headlined Caesar's Palace 1966. Wow. So I asked him, you ever think you'd do it again? And blah, blah, blah. And we talked about Shecky Green and guys, because I had, known a lot of these guys, Don Rickles and blah, blah, blah. And then he, really opened up. He really opened up. We talked a lot.
I flew with him a bunch of times on a private jet to when we were traveling around the country promoting Bullets. And he would read constantly reading, always reading a book. I never met somebody well-read like that. Yeah. Read. And he said that's how he gets his ideas, constantly reading.
To me, and I watched it a couple of weeks ago, Crimes and Misdemeanors.
One of my favorites.
One of the favorite movies of all time.
Of all time.
That Seder scene where they go and they have the Seder when Martin Landau goes back to the house.
Come on.
How do you write that?
I mean, come on. When he talks about, his brother, Jerry Orbach, the killer, when is it right to do this? When is it not? Oh.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Great stuff, man. Great fucking stuff. I mean, I was just... anyway, it's a great movie. Now, are you still doing your tour with...
Yeah, we do a thing called Conversation with the Sopranos.
Nice.
It's me, Michael Imperioli, Vinny Pastore.
Right.
We do some of the same theaters as you. We do it on and off. We traveled Australia. We packed in Australia years ago, and we do it. We're going to be in Patchogue Theater January 11th.
Right.
We're going to be in Waterbury, Connecticut at the Palace on January 25th and February 1st at the Opera House in Wilmington, Delaware. And if you're a Soprano fan, you don't want to miss it. We show clips, slides, funny stories. Great comedian Joey Cola opens the show, and
I heard the show was fun. I have to see it. I heard it's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. If you're a Soprano fan, you'll love it. Because we give you a little peek behind the curtain. We tell stories that only know if you were there.
If you're right. Now, before we close, there are a couple of things I have to just ask you. I mean, I didn't know him well, but I knew him well enough to know that James Gandolfini was really an incredible human being. Like a great guy.
Yeah. I always say, as good an actor he was an even better guy.
Yeah.
He was generous to a fault.
Like his salary he gave.
So
I never heard of that before.
So listen, 2004, he gets into a big beef with HBO. Okay? A whole big beef about his salary and points or whatever the beef was about. So it holds up production. When it's over, he calls 16 of us, one by one, into his trailer, gives us a check, an envelope. He says, thanks for sticking by me. Each one of us got $33,333. All the series regulars got it. $33,333 for 16 people. What's that, $500,000?
Sure, yeah.
A lot of people made a lot more money than him that didn't do that. And we found out, me and Michael, after he passed away, he paid off people's mortgages. He had lent people money, people that he came up with, people he knew. He worked in bars for years. He helped all these people out. He did it anonymously.
I know. I heard these things.
There was a police officer passed away, not in the line of duty, but in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Somehow, and the guy was a huge Soprano fan. Family somehow got to Jim, and Jim went to the funeral all by himself. Drove there, got out of the car, went into the funeral parlor. The family, they were stunned. He just came in, paid his respects, and he left. At the end, when The Sopranos ended, he bought all of us watches. I mean, the watches, I saw one on eBay, $50,000.
Yeah, I know. I heard. Yeah.
You know, it said Sopranos 1997 to 2007, R.I.P. The watches are $10,000 a piece. He bought the cast and the crew and the writers watches.
And he was incredible. I mean, nobody does that.
And he, you know, like he cared. Like he would say, "Are you
cared.
okay with that? You care?" Like after the scene, "You okay? You want one more? You okay with that? You sure?" Yeah, I'm good, Jim. You know, and he really gave a shit.
He really cared.
He was very serious about the work. Really serious.
Right.
You know, he worked very hard. He had an acting coach, Susan
I mean,
Aston.
that's a stressful role.
Oh.
He was like 15 hours a day,
16
right?
hours a day. He told me he would go back to his apartment. She would be there waiting for him to learn the next day's stuff.
That's
He
incredible.
said sometimes he would fall asleep for 2 hours in the chair. She was waiting to go over tomorrow's stuff. Got no life. You're working Friday night till 3, 4 in the morning. So your Saturday is shot. You got Saturday night, see your kids, see your girls, see your wife. Sunday, you got to be back in bed because you got a 6 o'clock call. Now, don't get me wrong. You got paid a lot of money. For 9 months, you don't have much of a life, you know.
I'm sorry. I mean, you could have made it maybe a little easier for him.
I think, they could have maybe went to 4 days a week, I think, you know.
Yeah.
I tell you, we're in Montreal. I did a movie. I wrote a kid's book called Nicky Deuce and made it a movie for Nickelodeon.
Right.
Jim's in it. We talked about it. Remember I talked to you about being in
Yes,
it.
right.
And, you know, you had asked the director, but they needed a Canadian director.
Yes, that's correct.
Jim is in it. Sirico's in it. Michael's in it. We're going into a bar. It's a homeless guy out front.
Yeah.
Jim takes out a big wad of money, gives the guy a $100 bill, drops it in his lap. The guy goes, no, too much. Wow. Jim says, what kind of fucking homeless guy are you? So Jim takes the 100, he gives the guy a 50. He went, thank you very much. I swear to God.
Wow.
So, I mean, listen, we had a lot of laughs, man.
Yeah.
A lot
obviously,
of laughs.
obviously, Steve, you shared an experience that's it's part of
it'll
TV
never
history, and
it'll never happen again. That was a once in a lifetime.
Right,
shot.
but,
hey, Blue Bloods was great.
yes.
The other Secret Life was great.
right.
It was all good. I
Right.
mean, just wonderful. Blue Bloods.
Yeah.
But this was a once in a lifetime thing.
Well, Steve,
thank you, man.
it's
pleasure talking.
You were great, man. You were
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
Steve Schirripa, go see his shows. Him.
Michael Imperial
Michael
and Vinny
Imperial
Pastor.
and Vinny Pastor. Three of them together, great stories. Check them out. Check the show out. It's fantastic. I will see you next week. Don't forget my restaurant, 30 West 46th Street, 264 Main Street. I'm sorry. And you get a free dessert and a drink, too. Check out my one-man show, ChazzPalminteri.net. God bless you. See you next week.